Hello and welcome to QuickThoughts, a short editorial series where I share my quick thoughts on something. So, as you probably noticed if you follow my top 20 anime list, I have removed 11 Eyes from it. As to why I did, well, that's what this video will be about. Today's topic will be my stance on 11 Eyes. So, a while back I reviewed this anime on my blog, and the end result was that I gave it a 4.25 out of 5. Which on my rating scale would indicate that it's great. Well, since then I've kind of been thinking a lot about this anime, and I have to say that I honestly regret giving 11 Eyes such a high rating. I know that a lot of you are fans of 11 Eyes, as Shadow ACS has caused the anime to grow a cult following, and don't get me wrong, I don't think 11 Eyes is bad. I just don't think it's as amazing as Shadow made it out to be. So, in order to balance out this video, I'm going to be talking about the good in 11 Eyes first. For one, the main villain Lizelot is fantastic. Granted, she could have been developed a bit further than what the anime did, but she was still memorable nonetheless. Secondly, the anime can be rather suspenseful and can really grab your attention sometimes, as this anime is one that loves to withhold information from the characters in the audience. Finally, the soundtrack is pretty darn good, and its opening is and always will be one of my favorites. Now onto the unfortunate bad. To me, the show's characters just seem to be hollow shells. I mentioned this in my review and I'll say it again, I didn't feel like these characters were given any time to breathe and expand their personalities. While watching the anime, I felt detached from the characters because the creators seem to think that giving a character a fantastic backstory would develop them, and does not show how the backstory really affected the characters as people. If anything, the backstories just felt like a plot device, and not a lot of them really made all that much sense. For example, Yukiko's backstory is that she grew up in a war-driven country and was trained as a child soldier because of her powers. Okay, but then how did she develop a split personality? Why did she move to Japan? Why is she attending high school? What are her glasses supposed to symbolize? These are questions that are pretty much never answered. And for those who want to say that it's all implied, this isn't really something that a story should just leave out, guys. These are essential to understanding a character. Another problem that I have with the cast is the fact that Yuka is one of the most selfish human beings that I have ever seen in my entire life. Again, let me explain. So, Yuka was an orphan that lived beside Kakeru, the main protagonist, and acted as his emotional support due to all the messed up stuff that Kakeru went through as a child. So, what happens when Kakeru finally finds someone he might be interested in besides her? She goes completely insane and tries to sabotage his relationship with her. Yuka, when your friend is finally moving on from his harsh childhood, why would you try to prevent him from being happy? You don't even have a tragic backstory as an excuse, so why the heck are you relying on Kakeru? What did you have to go through in order to be so self-centered, needy, angsty, and insane enough to completely screw over everything later on in the show? Okay, it's not the idea of Yuka's character because it's actually pretty good. It's just that the idea was poorly executed because Yuka was so terribly characterized. Next, there's the ending to talk about. Oh my god, the ending. Where the heck do I even begin? So, 11 Eyes was based off of a visual novel, right? So, episode 11 shows what I assume to be a bad ending of that visual novel, where Yuka gets possessed by Lizelot and kills Kakeru and Misuzu, completely ending the world. Good. Fine. Then in the end of the episode, we suddenly see Kakeru shout, "No! This isn't how it should end!" Well, gee, I didn't think that one reference to the visual novel would be so forthright. As it turns out, his eye power is able to predict the entire bad ending, and then the anime proceeds to follow one of the good endings, almost as if the anime set the reset button. Were the creators so desperate to advertise their original visual novel by showing multiple endings of that visual novel? People may hate School Days, but at least that anime knew that they should only choose one of their potential endings, even if it was a bad one. My final problem with 11 Eyes is the fact that the story is incredibly rushed. Plot points would fly by and never be mentioned again at least once per episode, especially in the later ones, until it leads into one of the most confusing info dumps that I have ever had to listen to. It talks about how everyone lives in their own separate world, and how people can travel from world to world if they are allowed to, and somehow angels are involved. You know what? I'm confusing myself. I get that this is based off of a very long visual novel and has to cram so much plot into a small 12-episode anime, but you could try to make sense. This anime is a victim of being way too short, and if it were longer it would probably be much better and not as rushed. It's not Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works rushed or anything, but I still wish we were given more time to process the actual story of the anime. So, do I think 11 Eyes is bad? No, I still think that is good, it's just overrated? But 11 Eyes isn't all that popular, so underrated? Average. 11 Eyes is average. The good is only good enough to balance out the bad, and while I do think that this anime deserves more popularity, I can see why the anime has remained under so many people's radar. I gave 11 Eyes a 3 out of 5. So, what did you guys think of 11 Eyes overall, and what would you like to see me talk about next? Leave it in the comments section, and I'll see you guys later.